Hey, what's up, guys? Houston here. I know a lot of you all are wondering what's going on with the CFPB since they halted everything and I was working on my credit. Most of the people want to know what's happening or say that you've been wondering what's going to happen to Capital One. Okay, they was in a lawsuit. Walmart was in a lawsuit. Um, what is it? I think it was Zale was in a lawsuit, right? So these places were in lawsuits, all right, for taking advantage of people, charging them over fees, overdraft fees, and stuff like that, right? But at the same time, there was something else that a lot of people was worried about. Like I said, it's 2 billion for Capital One. That's huge, okay? So for them to put that on pause, it kind of throws you for a loop, and you're like, okay, I get that. What about my credit? Okay, I was in the middle of fixing my credit. We know that the CFPB they had recently sued Experian, right? And so we know about the data breach, right? So in terms of what did the CFPB sue Experian on, let me help you explain this to help you clean up your credit. All right. First of all, whenever you dispute an item on your credit, okay? The major credit bureaus, they're going to go to LexisNexis, okay? So when they go to LexisNexis, all they're going to do is verify your name and your address, okay? That's all they're doing. As soon as they get that information, then they may send you back a notice. But they're also going to verify it with these two. They have Teletrack, okay, which is owned by Equifax. Then they also have Clarity, which is owned by Experian. Then they have Data X, which is owned by Equifax as well. And they also have Factor Trust that's owned by. Now these are your financial credit bureaus. But what they're gonna do, they're going to match up the name and the address. Usually, they may look at the first four numbers or the last 4 or 5 numbers, okay, of the account. But most of the time, they don't look at those numbers. They don't look at when the account was open. They don't look at the actual accounting records. So that's the reason when I tell people when you're disputing like student loans and stuff, especially with the federal government, you should never ask for a contract. You always ask for a your actual accounting records, okay? Because your accounting record is going to basically spell out the original contract, and that original contract is going to say how much you was granted for that student loan, how much of that student loan was taken out for premiums to pay your insurance, because with the FCC, they cannot issue out a loan that charges interest without having a policy behind it. This is the reason why I continue to tell you guys that you all are being ripped off by the federal government as well with these student loans, because once you go into default, the insurance policy premiums that was paid for the loan, that kicks in, the insurance policy pays out. Okay, it's called a loan verification certificate that a lot of people are not aware of. Now, in reference to, like, say that you got a student loan from Wells Fargo or U.S. Bank or something, those type of student loans are like regular consumer student loans. They don't have the same protection as government student loans. Okay, so that's the reason it's much easier to get those type of loans dismissed out of a bankruptcy or removing those off of the credit. Okay, so that's the reason why I continue to tell people not only is the government charging you $1 for your default, but they charge you another dollar because they actually get that money from the insurance company. All right. So that's something that many of you are not aware of. I'm also going to show you where you can continue to put in a complaint. Even with the CLPB closed down, you actually can still put in a complaint about the credit bureau. So we're going to talk about that. But I wanted to bring this to your attention. Now, in reference to some of the violations with Experian, when Experian said that you sent in a letter, oh, we verified and stuff like that, and they take the account off and then they put it back on, that's what they were sued for because they never provided documentation. So these are the actual codes, the compliance procedure codes. That's one of the codes they was violated from. All right. Then they was violated on this here code as well. All right. This here is 15 USC 1681 S-2, responsibility of furnishers. All right. So a person shall not furnish any information related to a consumer reporting agency if the person knows or consciously avoids knowing that the information is inaccurate. Okay. So they were sued for because they broke that. Then they had this here, 15 USC 1681 for dispute accuracy. Again, this is something else that they caught him for. Then they got him for this here. This here 15 USC code 1681C requirement to information contained in the consumer reports. So these are all the violations that Experian was hit on, okay? Because you would send your information in. Now, here's the thing I'm gonna tell you: a lot of you guys was doing it online, okay? And now, like I tell you, when it's done online, yes, it's faster. But the problem is when you do it online, you lose your legal rights. And the thing about it, because when you do it online, most people do not know. And here's a hack for you that if you do it online, you want to make sure you're recording filing that complaint. Like record the screen. This is a hack. You record the screen that you actually filing that complaint. And then when you submit it online, you send over that video recording of it as well. Because this is the only way that they can verify, like, hey, they sent this in, right? Because you have evidence, they have evidence. Now, this is something that's admissible in the courts, right? To show that, hey, I filed the complaint and this is everything I did online, all right? That's the way you get around when they said doing it online. You have to record your screen for that video so it can be admissible in the courts in order for them to accept it. Most people don't never talk about that hack. Very few people even know about that hack when disputing online. Now, one of the things, like I said, going back in terms of why I say don't dispute online, because you want that mail return receipt. Okay, when you send that letter out, also there's a couple things. Many people, when they send that letter out, they'll just send it through the mail. And I have a cousin that used to work for Equifax, and he said regular mail stuff usually get tossed in the trash. You need to get it done certified mail return receipt. Okay, now this becomes a legal document. All right, this is an actual legal document. So that way you can even get it notarized. Have that letter notarized when you file that FTC complaint or whatever. Most people file the FTC complaint and they said that I had the identity theft, right? And then they would say, well, did you have a police report with it? Well, technically, if you know that you did not have identity theft report, then you're committing fraud. So what you want to do, you want to dispute all the inaccuracies of the account. Not that you had identity theft and fraud. You want to say that all of this information is not accurate. Maybe the account number, the amount, the time that the account was open. These are all the things that you should actually be disputing. Not that you had fraud, okay? Especially if you didn't have fraud. Now, because of the data breach, you can actually say that you had possible identity theft, but I would probably just dispute all the inaccuracies of the account. It'll make it so much easier. All right. Now, for you guys that are trying to dispute charge offs and stuff like that, again, when it comes to charge off, put in a legal complaint, letting them know that, hey, they never submitted to me, and you can file a complaint with the IRS as well if they do not give you that 1099-C cancellation of a debt. If they do not give you that, then you can file a complaint with the IRS, because now that company is committing fraud, because they said that they gave you X amount of dollars and you don't have no record of it, but they're holding your credit obligated for this, right? But they took a loss because they wrote it off on the books to the IRS, but they never gave you proper documentation for you to address that with the IRS. So that's fraud. All right. Again, this is just some things that a lot of people are not aware of. Now, for you guys that want to know, who do you complain with the credit bureaus? Okay, so now you have the bank credit complaints. So you can go to usa.gov/bank credit complaints, and you can file a complaint here. Okay, and you can file this with the about the creditor. You can file it about the banks. So this is a backup for CFPB. Then you also have the consumerresources.org, file a complaint. And so when you do it here, the National Attorney General Training and Research Institute, you can come here, you can choose your state. And once you choose your state, then you can actually file a complaint. Okay. Once you choose your state, you can actually reach out to them, file a complaint about the credit bureaus. Okay. Now, there's another place. You have the Better Business Bureau. You again, this is places that people are not aware. Again, for most part, a lot of people feel that they only had the CFPB, but that's not true. You have all of these other places that you can file a complaint, especially with collection companies and things of that nature. Also, the good part about CFPB, when CFPB would step in, they would get a response within 15 days reaching out to the company. But again, you have these other alternatives. So don't think that you still can't fix your credit because of the CFPB. You would just have to file these extra complaints. Then you have this here report fraud. This is the FTC report if you're filing for fraud. But again, for most people, it may not have a fraudulent case. It just may be that the company or the credit bureau are reporting inaccurate information. Okay, so this is a judgment call that I would say. And then you can do the identity theft as well. But this is a judgment call. All right. Now, again, here's just some basic information about filing that complaint and everything. But here's the thing, again, I cannot stress more. If you're going to challenge negative items off of your credit report from here on out, it's best to have those letters sent out. If you have questions about your credit report, removing negative items and stuff, then schedule one-on-one and I will point out the things that you can address on your credit report. All right. But in reference to filing a FTC, now again, one of the key elements is definitely when you send out that letter, make sure it's certified mail return receipt. All right, that's going to be your biggest insurance thing, and that way you can send a copy of that letter, a copy of the mail return receipt document over to these other agencies, proving that you have reached out to them. And what ends up happening again, they would reach out and it positions you. You can take the credit bureaus, you can sue the credit bureaus as well as the collection agencies. All right. So I hope this video helped you. If you have any questions, again, click the link in the description. Schedule a one-on-one consultation. Thank you.